Now I know it may seem weird talking about the James Bond films on the Cinema Snob. After all, the James Bond Batman hybrid James Batman is right there. But little do you know about the negative reception the source material got in 1957, with the New Statesman describing Ian Fleming's novel Dr. No as nothing but sex, snobbery, and sadism. Well, those are the three magic words for which this show was founded. Plus, I've already got the tape in my pocket. Wait, what? The 1954 Barry Nelson Casino Royale? I talked about that last week. Where was this tape then? Hang on, I know it's in here somewhere. From Russia with Love. That's the next Bond movie. Wait, I think I feel it in here. Zapped again? Why is this even in here? Okay, well, I'll just have to trust that the tape is around here somewhere. It was in my pants. James Bond's first big screen adventure, Dr. No, came about from producer Albert Cubby Broccoli, who wanted to buy the rights from Harry Saltzman to make a movie version, but instead of Saltzman selling, the two formed a partnership that lasted until 1975. With the rights of their first choice, Thunderball, still going through a legal battle, Dr. No became the first film after the go-ahead from United Artists. Although the novel Dr. No was the sixth in the book series, the movie has similarities to some of the other adaptations in that it takes quite a few liberties from the source material. The plot is roughly the same, but there is no fight with a giant squid. The film is all about James Bond investigating the disappearance of a fellow agent in Jamaica, which leads him right to Dr. No wanting to sabotage an American space launch. Spoiler, we make it to the moon. And so does James Bond! Many actors were considered, including later Bond Roger Moore, who was deemed too young for this. Ian Fleming wanted Richard Todd for the role. Even David Niven, who later spoofed Bond in 1967's Casino Royale, was considered. Plus, Patrick McGowan and Richard Johnson turned down the role. Ultimately, Sean Connery, 32 at the time, won the role on the grounds that he really is James Bond. The script would be co-written by Richard Maybaum, who would also adapt a majority of the Bond films, up to License to Kill. Plus, the director was Terrence Young. Oh, we'll see if this is a better movie than Inchon. Already, we've got plenty of Bond staples in this film. But it is 1962, so you're going to have to adjust those rabbit ears a little so the signal can come through. I am not easy to impress. We'll see if the first Bond opening does the trick. Nothing to see here, just my crotch exploding again. The movie does a good job of reminding you you are watching 007 and not Agent 077. All you needed to awesomely sell this opening was the classic Monty Norman theme, a title sequence by Maurice Binder, and the chips that you're gonna lose due to your upcoming gambling addiction. Even the dancers from Village of the Giants show up to lend a hand. Let's get some cocktails and mix things up a bit.
Tree blind mice in a row, tree blind mice.
Another change from the novel, the villains are three blind mice. Hey, in an early draft of the script, Dr. No was a monkey. Seriously. Too bad they can't see the sights, like someone carrying a couch on their head. Someone really needs to help these men out. They seem lost. That is nowhere near the Valley Lodge. This is where we meet MI6 agent John Strangways, set to Jamaica to 1962 the hell out of brunch. And if he doesn't... Hey, they're not blind at all. They're merely farsighted. Boy, they are desperate to fill their morgue quota. This isn't even the only person killed today. But so much for Miss Cash Nickel. We got another funny named lady who can also answer phones. I have the feeling I know who is behind these assassinations. Whoa. So I'm not watching Octopussy? They must find James Bond to investigate the murder of Strangways. Best get to Bond before the mansion orgy breaks out. Can Connery really be better than Barry Nelson's CIA agent Jimmy Bond?
I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Oh, don't worry about that. I was born with 12 balls. I've got plenty to spare. But how dare the rating not warn me about the smoking? Clearly, this makes 365 Days the better motion picture. 30 seconds into his screen appearance, and already this is an iconic performance and character.
Well, sit there, will you?
And if Buddy Penny doesn't sleep with him, me and my charred crotch will.
Only M would have me court-martialed for illegal use of government property.
Look, Mr. Draper, just get the Lucky Strike ad on my desk in an hour. Bernard Lee's M, the head of the Secret Intelligence Service, is sending him to find Strangways, with a gun, of course. Q isn't in this film, so instead we'll just call this guy Walter PPK. Don't worry, sir, if you beat Goldeneye, we'll give you a Magnum. Now maybe Bond can get out of this dump. You puke green, I asked for forest green.
There. Now you made me miss it.
But the complimentary girl will do. He and Strangways weren't that close. He could kill time with 5 straight hours of sex. And this is just Bond's dick going in for the landing. Already in Jamaica and things are beautiful like a postcard. I think everything will be okay. He's got the Lord watching over him. It's a good thing Bond's not in a hurry. They keep having to pull over to pick up his hat that keeps blowing off. Bond still manages to be the coolest person here, even when sitting in the back seat during a car chase. And yes, there's already treachery afoot.
Now, Mr. Jones, talk fast before your friend doubles back.
Mr. Jones? Ooh, I thought you'd never ask. Look, I need to beat the shit out of someone. You'll do. Just don't take any cyanide. Cyanide wasn't the best brand of cigarettes in the 60s, but that decade could pretty much get away with selling anything. And yet Bond is still a perfect gentleman. He gives the dead body a lift back to the hotel. Bullwinkle J. Mussolini is going to want to hear about this after they're taken to the nearest crime scene.
Oh, yes, that's a blood patch.
He was shitting fire all night from the spicy Jamaican barbecue. The big clue in Strangway's place is a boatman named Quarrel. He has an ironic name. He has to have something to do with this. But first, booze.
1 medium dry vodka martini. Mixed like you said, sir.
The term is shaken, not stirred, you fool. So much for your tip. Bond is doing a great job of picking up where Strangways left off. He as well is 1962ing the hell out of things. Now to see a boat about a quarrel, or something like that. At first, Quarrel isn't any help at all. First time Bond's coolness charm hasn't worked for him. Gotta think of a plan B. I got it. We'll pose for the back of the VHS. Stay tuned later for when Bond trains for his rematch against Clubber Lang after this commercial break.
Okay, buddy, what do you think of Wilkins coffee? I never tasted it. Now, what do you think of Wilkins?
Great, I take time out to fix myself some Wilkins coffee, and already they're in what's a word that's kind of like quarrel?
Right.
Luckily, Bond isn't a red stripe man. Quarrel, it turns out, is actually working with CIA agent Felix Leiter, who Bond is now meeting for the first time. Jack Lord of Hawaii Five-0 plays Leiter in this film, also he can say "Book 'em, Bondo." Now they can all join forces to get their common enemy.
All the people go jump up, waving arms about, weaving in and out, it's so easy.
The enemy, of course, being Dr. Beetlejuice. This all has to do with rock samples found by Strangways and Quarrel from the island of Crab Key, run by a mysterious Chinese-German man.
What else do we know about this Chinese gentleman?
Nothing much.
Yeah, you're right, you don't know much. I'm not sure he's really Chinese. But Professor Dent says the rock samples are fine. He doesn't have a weird name, therefore I guess we can trust him. Although he's continuing in the movie, so he must be evil. It's all part of the plan to build the world's most depressing-looking theme park. and to hang out in a room that just screams make sure you're not standing on plastic.
Sit down.
I've been sitting for 13 years. Who is talking? Is it Dr. No or HAL 9000?
You see what is in the cage.
Oh my god, it's a spider talking! The spider is going to be used to bump off Bond, since those damn blind assholes mucked it up. Sean Connery in real life actually is deathly afraid of spiders, so the scene had to be filmed with a sheet of glass between Bond and the tarantula. Even gods have their fears, but Bond will always win. At least he probably got 50% off of his room now. Plus, he's got better things to look forward to, like a hot date with a secretary and a hot date with Quarrel. It's 1962, what the hell are you doing? You're all radioactive. Now get that radioactive penis over here after driving through the nearest car chase. It doesn't matter where you were in the 60s. If you were driving, you always had this background. And at least one of the cars will definitely explode.
I think they were on their way to a funeral.
Now that's a burn. She is shocked to see him alive, or is horrified by his insensitive funeral line. Alright, she may have set him up to be killed, but she's still hot, bro. While they're busy having another 5 hours of sex and ordering a dozen donuts and a whole pizza, best take another commercial break to give them some privacy.
I wouldn't admit this if I wasn't alone, but I really do like Wilkins coffee. Did you call?
Now that you're back, you should know that Bond sent her off to jail for those bedroom moves being criminal. Finally, the place to myself. You know what? Yes, I am going to teach myself that board game. That is, after making sure there are no spiders anywhere nearby. In another universe, Henry Jones is searching the bed for rats. Bond, however, is waiting for Professor Dent to show up to kill him, while giving up on that board game and playing solitaire instead. Well, so much for 50% off the room. Shockingly, the mineral samples they collected were in fact radioactive. Between an evil doctor and an evil professor, I'm not trusting anyone with a degree, and neither is Bond. He shot him once more, because screw you, that's why. Now it's a race to get to Crab Key before the sun shows up once they take off the day for night filter. See, now it's bright out. They can go back to their daily activities like cleaning the crabs out of their ears and peeping in on Ursula Andress in that iconic shot while she's posing to become the goddess of the mountain of the Cannibal God. Play it cool, James. Play it cool.
What are you doing here? Looking for shells?
No, I'm just looking.
Nice. Ursula Andress plays Honey Rider. They settled on that name after their first choice was Syrup Reverse Cowgirl. She's so hot, Bond can't even say his iconic introduction line.
What's your name?
James.
I'll fill in the rest later. Honey doesn't really have much to do with the plot, but she is there for the rest of the movie. She's just collecting some shells and searching for her real voice, and she spends the whole movie dubbed. He has to assure them both that it's a gun shooting at them and not a dragon.
There are no such things as dragons. What you saw was something that looked like one.
Says the man who is in fact part dragon. They are now stuck on this island since they shot up her boat, which in fairness, looks like it already had about 20 holes in it to begin with. And must everyone who was once married to John Derek look like they're in a scene from Tarzan the Ape Man? This is all just a setup by Bond to impress her, including killing this man. He was cut away to death. Mountain of the Cannibal God would have played jump rope with his intestines. Though this is still X-rated for hardcore chest hair. Now that they've dodged bullets and one-liners, perhaps they can get to know each other a little better.
I put a black widow spider underneath his mosquito net.
Well, it wouldn't do to make a habit of it.
I love his newfound arachnophobia. Wait until Albert the Crocodile shows up. He's way bigger than a spider. But it turns out there may be a dragon here. It's kind of dark out. That could easily be the crime buster from Heartbeeps. Or it's a vehicle that got lost while participating in the Death Race 2000. You'd have to be really stupid to get killed by this flamethrower tank. Oh, damn. He lost his quarrel with death. Oh, that was too soon. They're taken in by the villains for ruining their perfect plan of fooling the gullible islanders. Look, we even painted teeth on our dragon. This is all so exciting. See, even the henchmen are turned on by Bond. Now let's wash off all that radiation so you can pose for the Evil Island calendar. And when the hell is Dr. Giggles gonna show up? They seem pretty far underwater. Could this be a volcano? I'm gonna assume it's a volcano. They may be held captive, but the room got the color of chairs right, and they're given 2 separate rooms, so they're not living in sin. Though they're still dumb enough to drink the coffee. Look, between cyanide cigarettes and roofied coffee, you may think it's the villains who did this, but those were the top shelf items at the food giant. And Dr. No is still there to tuck them in with his prosthetic hands. He is a much better hotel manager than some other handless villains. And yes, we finally do get to see the title character.
$1 million, Mr. Bond. You were wondering what it cost.
I'm not sure Joseph Wiseman is really Canadian. Still though, he is a good host.
A medium dry martini, lemon peel, shaken, not stirred.
How evil could he be? He remembered to say stirred. And Bond is gonna get a good makeup recommendation for when he wears a disguise and you only live twice. Poor Dr. No lost his hands due to radiation. It's like a documentary. The good doctor used to work for a Chinese crime organization, but now works for Spectre, the special executive for counterintelligence, terrorism, revenge, and extortion. Spoiler, that's not introduced until the Thunderball novel. He wants Bond to join, or else. Yeah, he's gonna need those hands in case another spider gets in his room. Bond does not want to join, nor does he want to help disrupt an American space launch with a nuclear reactor. He figures out a way to escape, despite there not being any of Goldfinger's prison guards to beat up. Look, it shouldn't be that hard to stop Dr. No's plan. All he has to do is mess with the buttons and throw a bunch of silver shamrock labels in the air, and Stonehenge will make Dr. No disappear, obviously. Little do you know, this is really what's inside of a color TV set back in the early 60s. It was filled with tiny men and gadgets. And if you turn the dial wrong, the contrast will get all messed up. Plus it starts smoking and ruins your attempt to sabotage a space launch. Not to mention the pool of acid. You gotta remember the pool of acid. He'll be fine. He can just ask this guy about some good plastic surgery. Yeesh, minimum wage isn't worth this. We need to get the hell out of here. Plus, rescue Honey, who's about to be killed in a way that suggests Spectre was running out of ideas. Whether it's at the high end of his career or the low end with Inchon, Terrence Young knows how to beautifully blow shit up. It may be over, but we can't have sex yet. We gotta say goodbye to Jack Lord before he's replaced by Alex O'Loughlin as Felix. On second thought, let's get rid of that rope that's towing us. And then they were stranded and died, but at least they totally banged. Well, that was indeed awesome. Give me 24 more of these and a couple of unofficial entries as well. It's a fun film that sets up what would be perfected in the next couple of movies. While considered a classic today, the film actually did open to relatively mixed reviews in 1962, with even the Vatican saying it was a dangerous mixture of violence, vulgarity, sex, and sadism. Again, making it perfect for my show. Later reviews, though, would be far more positive. However, while initial reviews were mixed, the audience reaction was outstanding. Sales of Fleming's books heavily increased, the movie had a huge influence in fashion, began not just the Bond franchise, but influenced the spy genre in the 60s itself. Produced on a small budget, the movie was so profitable, with a worldwide box office of $59 million, that United Artists immediately greenlit the second film, From Russia with Love, that was released only a year later in 1963. I would pull that one out of my jacket, but I already set it aside earlier. Don't worry, I still got some other tapes in here. Oh, look! The re-release VHS from the James Bond box set. Sorry, box cover, but I prefer the original box art that looks like an Old West wanted poster. Thank you very much.
He thrills me, he kills me, he...